If you've played any amount of Counter-Strike, chances are that you are running a stretched resolution. Whether that be because you genuinely appreciate the voluptuous models, benefit greatly from the FPS boost, or because you're above the age of 40, stretched res is a staple video setting in Counter-Strike. I personally use stretched res for a majority of my time playing this game, but recently switched back to native to make my video quality better. But while I was making my Intangibles of Counter-Strike series, where I switched my video settings to the Subject Pro settings, I began to notice a lot of high-profile names are switching, or at least dabbling and going back to native resolutions. Names like Frozen, Twistzz, skullz used to only use stretched res, but have been seen using native resolutions in recent pro matches. You could chalk this up to Rops's influence, but I wanted to dive into some of the potential reasons why these pros might have switched, and why you might want to as well. This video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a 24/7 online trading service for CS2 that is extremely easy to use and completely transparent. You just select your skins, the skins you want to trade for it, and they'll send you the offer. It's that simple. Right now, they are offering a 30% bonus on your first deposit and up to 35% if you use my code WAZOO at the top, along with an additional free $5 if you trade $100. That's a lot of free money, so check out SkinsMonkey today and use my code WAZOO. Thank you, SkinsMonkey. Now, there are multiple reasons why someone might want to switch to native after playing stretched res for years, but for the recent pro changes, I've broken it down into 3 categories: setup factors, other games played, and experimentation. Let's start with the physical aspect. On screen, I'm going to show you 4 players who have recently played with or are currently playing on native resolutions. See if you can spot the common thread. It's monitor distance. Why make the models bigger in-game when you can just make the models bigger with your eyes? It's no secret that the distance that pros put between themselves and their monitors has gotten smaller and smaller in recent times. But that begs the question, why not combine the stretched models with the close monitor distance to accentuate the model's thick, luscious curves? And indeed, some pros do so, such as Twistzz, who has used native for long stints of his career, but has mostly used stretched res combined with an extremely close monitor distance. But it mostly boils down to 2 reasons, which is perceived velocity and eye strain. Because the screen is stretched out horizontally, players appear to move faster across the screen in the horizontal direction on stretched resolutions. Combine this with the limited vision with being so close to your monitor, and now players seem to move twice as fast, which is especially problematic when you're trying to hold an angle. This leads to more eye strain, as not only do you have to move your eyes more to gather information from the UI, but you also have to focus more on enemies peeking out. This is actually why Twistzz switched to native res for a period of time, as he cited some eye strain while playing on 4x3, which was alleviated when he played on 16:9.
16:9, and you probably never thought you would hear that from me, but I changed to full HD because I had some eye strains, and that's helped a lot.
And I'm sure many of the pros who currently play on native would say the same. But an underrated aspect of switching to native, at least in the physical aspect and especially on newer maps, is the FOV gain. The FOV loss in stretched res is a relative non-factor in CS, as most of the older maps are very linear, with most of the angles being compacted to the same general locations. However, as map philosophy evolved and more complex patterns emerged to break the standard map layouts of old CS, FOV has become more important, as the potential angles of attack have become much wider than they were once previously, and the extra FOV allows you to play riskier angles with at least some chance to fight back should a lurker fail to check for you. You certainly can isolate angles with cover and smart positioning, but it is especially freeing to know that you aren't losing out on information and could be embarrassed by one video setting. But another aspect why pros have been switching to native res has nothing to do with Counter-Strike, but with other games that they play, with the most recent culprit being Valorant. In the pro scene, especially in NA, many pros dabbled in Valorant when it first came out, and some even went pro. But with the lack of support for 4x3 stretch res in Valorant because it's an unfair advantage, many CS pros who played Valorant just adapted to 16:9 and came back with that preference. This mostly only affects the pros who actually played Valorant professionally, such as Automatic and a lot of retired pros, but it symbolizes that perhaps stretch is not as steadfast of a setting, considering that these pros switched only after a relatively short stint in another game. As more games come out and drop support for stretched resolutions, we could be seeing a much larger change towards native resolutions, especially in a more casual player base who plays more than one game at a time. But why change your settings to fit other games? You could easily just play CS on stretched and all other games on native. And the answer to that question is, you can. However, it's no secret that Counter-Strike players tend to be a bit obsessive over their aim and their mechanics, and that leads to the desire for standardization across games, such as having the same sensitivities for all games. But sensitivity is not just dependent on your mouse movements. Kind of. There are two main ways to have the same sensitivity between games, which is having the same centimeters per 360, or how many centimeters you have to move your mouse to make a full rotation, or having the same monitor distance sensitivity, or how far you have to flick your mouse to move a certain distance on your screen. While centimeters per 360 is a pure definition and quantification of sensitivity, monitor distance sensitivity accounts for FOV, which changes from stretched to native resolutions. The top aimers in aim communities, such as Kovacs and Aim Labs, will generally tell you that centimeters per 360 is the right way to get the equivalent sensitivity between games, which I wholeheartedly agree with. But it might not be intuitive to you. It certainly isn't for game developers, which is why often in games, the default scope sensitivity actually follows equivalent monitor distance sensitivities rather than centimeters per 360. You might think that having an equivalent monitor distance sensitivity will be more understandable for you as you switch games and help you be consistent with your aim, which is ultimately who cares about your aim skill. And because of this, you also have to factor in that being on 16:9 is going to be a much closer FOV experience compared to other modern first-person shooters who might not have the best stretch resolution support. So having a nearly identical FOV on 16:9 in Counter-Strike makes the equivalent monitor distance sensitivities between games more in line with the same centimeters per 360 sensitivities, which is basically double the intuitiveness. Don't check my math. But above all else, the reason why you might want to change res is simply just experimentation. Counter-Strike players, especially the pros, are constantly searching for the smallest advantages to get the best of their opponents. And switching to native resolutions and having the benefits of slower player movement, FOV gain, and detail might benefit you and make you play better. Although, if we're keeping it real for a second, a resolution change isn't what's going to make you rank up. But you shouldn't be scared of trying new settings to see what you might enjoy more, rather than just sticking to traditional settings because that's simply what you just played with all the time. There's always room for improvement, and who knows, maybe you will get a 16:9 pilled. Just don't tell them who sent you. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon.